we shall overcome someday. Well, deep in my heart, I still believe that we shall overcome someday. Hand in hand, we'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, oh, I believe that we'll walk hand in hand someday.
Welcome to Rainbow Push. We're at our national headquarters. It's Memorial Day. We're celebrating the families of those veterans who've given a life of service to our nation, and we're praying for those families who lost loved ones. We invite you, those of you in our satellite cities of New York and Atlanta and Detroit and DC and Silicon Valley. Thank you for tuning in. We're all over the world. Join us now. Go to rainbowpush.org. Tell your family and friends if they're not on the Impact Network, then they can watch us on live stream. Go to rainbowpush.org and watch us live. You can watch us on Facebook Live. Tell your family and friends. As we move now to celebrate Veterans Day, we have Ernest Paul Jones, who will sing our tribute to our veterans on Memorial Day. God bless America. We want a special shout out to those who gave lives in World War I, World War II. We thank you for the life and service of the Tuskegee Airmen. We thank you for the Montford Point Marines. We thank you for the Korean War veterans. We thank you for the Vietnam veterans. And then even as we come to our more current encounters abroad, we thank every one of our men and women who have served our country and dedicated a life of service to that end. Today, our hearts are heavy. We have a number of people we're giving. We were praying for the families of we call him the people's lawyer, Attorney Lewis Myers, who made his transition this week. The services are incomplete. We will be letting you know when the family will hold a memorial service, at which time all of us can celebrate Lou Myers and the work that he has for us. We're praying this morning for the family of W. Johnson Roundtree, a former civil rights lawyer and defense attorney who made her transition at 104. We're praying for Vernon Jarrett's son, our own Thomas Jarrett, ABC cameraman, son of Vernon Jarrett, made his transition this week. We're praying for the Reverend Mackie Daniel, civil rights leader in Louisville, Kentucky, a longtime pastor and a member of this organization. We're praying for Anita Doty, Chicago, Anita's Gumbo restaurant founder and owner. And we are praying for so many of the families of children who have been victimized by these random shootings in public schools and even those on the streets of Chicago. We're praying that we will have a reduced violence Memorial Day weekend. But on a positive note, we want to say happy birthday to our own graphics artist, technician, Deshaun Simpson. We say happy birthday. And now we have a video from our founder, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who is at his granddaughter's graduation today. We celebrate her graduation, but we also want you to hear a special message from our founder.
Good morning. I wanted to be with you today, but this has been a challenging week of work. I'm in Washington today at one of my granddaughter's graduations, so that's a kind of grandpapa duty today. This has been an exciting week. One, we won a tremendous race in Georgia. Stacey Abrams is now the Democratic nominee for the governor of Georgia. We talked with her this our convention, the Women's Luncheon, on the 15th of June. Stacey Abrams, she is a great and strong woman, smart, credible, can talk, can think, and if we vote our numbers and not our fears, we can win. The 500,000 blacks in Georgia unregistered. If half of them register, we can win that race. We can actually win Georgia. And that's true from Virginia around to Texas. The ex-slave states remain the key to our political freedom. Also, went to Louisville, Reverend C. McAdaniels, former head of the Progressive Baptist Convention from Greenville, South Carolina, my hometown, died, and his funeral was this week in Louisville, Kentucky. Hosted that by Reverend Cosby. Hosted that by him, just a great brother, St. Stephen's. So it's been a week of great work. My friends, let's remain focused on A, make lynching a federal crime. Legislation put together by Congressman Bobby Rush, make lynching a federal crime. Number two, fight massive voter registration. We fight and fight back, we win. We've never lost a battle, we fought. Never won one less, and we fight back, we win. Thank you, God bless you. See you next week.
Give Reverend Jackson a round of applause. He continues to work each and every day so that we might know that there is someone who is lifting our sights, having us understand the issues of the day, the fights for today. One of the things that he wanted us to do today was to walk through the convention. I know you're wondering, why would you register? Well, I'm telling you, I was so excited when I realized who we have at the convention. I have already registered. I paid my $50, and I'm excited about attending this year's convention. Why? We're going to open up with a construction summit. Why a summit? You see this construction all over the city, and we're trying to figure out, where are we? Why are we not working? Well, we're going to be working because our eyes are on 55th Street. They're doing a senior building. Don't see anybody that looks like me. I'm looking at the renovation of the Cook County Hospital. We overpopulate on the inside. We want to build on the outside. We're looking at the new Southside High School in Inglewood. Look, you know who's going to the school. We want to make sure we build a building so that we know what the quality of the workmanship in that building. We're looking at the old post office, the renovation. Omar told me to tell you, we're going to be a part of that. But on Wednesday, June 13th, we are at the ComEd training facility. We are bringing the developers who are doing the major development in this city together so that we can see what are your plans for the next 5, 10 years so that we make sure we're in the planning. We got architects that'll be there. We got lawyers that'll be able to write contracts. We want to meet the developers, the general contractors. You know Pepper, you know Turner, you know McHugh, you know Bully, and you want to meet them. You want to make sure that they're including us in their plans on the front side, and we want to know what are the requirements so we can be ready to go. We don't want to just be flaggers. We don't just want to be the laborers. We want to be the subs. So we're inviting all subs to register for construction Summit and Expo. We're going to have mayors of these suburban cities where Benita Parker, she works with them all the time. Well, they're coming from the south suburbs, the western suburbs. They're coming from Flint. They're coming from, so you can build all over the country. I remember when Thacker came from Atlanta to build the airport runway here in Chicago because we didn't have that many blacks that were ready, but they had done it in Atlanta. We can do it here. That's why we're having this to open our convention with jobs, contracts, and provision of goods and services. You don't miss the Construction Expo. That night, Wednesday night, I'm still on Wednesday night, churches are coming together because we want to celebrate the music of our movement. The movement and the spiritual have always gone together. Oh, we got the lineup. I wish, you don't want to miss B.B. Winans. You don't want to miss Reverend Charles Jenkins. Oh, our God is awesome. You don't want, and then war, this means, I don't know the new one, but I know this means war, and we at war. You don't want to miss Ladella Evan Reed and the traditional LDR. Listen, wait a minute. Darius Brooks and the Tommies, you haven't seen the Tommies in a long time. Well, they're going to be over there. And some of you have not seen that new facility Bishop Horace Smith has built for us. We're going to be at Apostolic Faith in great numbers. He tells me it seats 3,000. You better come early. We got special gifts for you, special gospel T-shirts. It's the Reverend Clay Evans Gospel Concert. And we're going to honor Effie Ross, Sonia Blakey, Archbishop Lucius Hall, Reverend Maceo Woods, Pam Morris. You don't want to miss the gospel concert. Well, you say, I don't want to hear the music. Okay, Thursday morning, business people, this is for you. John Rogers, who's been talking about board members and boardrooms, he is going to be there to share the state of black business and where we are on these corporate boards. How do we get on more? How do we take control of the companies that we support with our dollars? We got Luz Biscani from Diversity Inc. talking about which companies are the most diverse and the most supportive of us. Then we got Shannon Brown, Executive Vice President of FedEx. We're going to talk about what can we do with FedEx other than have them come pick up packages. Who's picking up the packages? Who's driving the trucks? Who's making the money? I wish I had time to tell you more about that, but I want to go to the clergy luncheon. Pastors, you don't want to miss this. We got a midterm coming up in November. We're going to give you a plan for getting this vote out. We're going to give you a plan for making sure that we turn red states blue. We're not playing this coming election. So we got some people, and we're going to honor some people. We already have pastors and bishops lined up. Bishop Smith says he's going to be there from Chicago. Bishop Henry Williamson, CME Church, he's going to be there from the Memphis, Arkansas, Mississippi area. Reverend Granger Browning from the East Coast is coming. Dr. Todd Year from Baltimore. Reverend Willie Gable from New Orleans. We got Reverend Tony Lee from D.C., Reverend Lamont Johnson from Winston-Salem, and so many others. We've invited some people. I can't tell you their names, but if you watch the wedding, there's somebody that just gave a powerful message. We're praying that he will be able to come. Then we got the Innocence Project. We fill in these jails with people that didn't commit the crimes that they've been found guilty of, and we're going to show you what an innocence program looks like. Ken Berry, Marcus Lyons, Johnny Savory, all innocent and released. They're going to talk about that. Labor Dinner, we got the Reverend William Barber talking about the Poor People's Campaign. We're fighting against poverty. We got Rob Reeder, Bill Lucy, and Keller from SEIU. It's a major labor dinner on June the 14th. Business, clergy, labor, June the 14th. June the 15th is the big day. Big day. All of them are big days. Healthcare breakfast. Congressman Danny Davis. He's already pulling his panel together. He wants you to know about access to health care or lack of access for veterans, for seniors, and for others. We're going to talk about Medicaid and Medicare and all of that. He's got Dr. Damon Arnold. He's got Dwight Twillery from Cincinnati. He's got the Gift of Hope. He's got the Illinois Medical District, and he's going to convene these hospitals and people. Reverend has already told them we want healthcare professionals. You got to register to protect your job. Register so that you can fight for more things. The women's luncheon, it's so powerful. You saw that sister down in Georgia. The first African-American to be the Democratic nominee for governor. Well, she has talked to us. She's on her way. She's trying to get here for that women's luncheon. We're going to honor the women, the memory of Winnie Mandela, international. I mean, she's like at the top of the honoree, but we're going to honor women in her tradition. Hopefully her daughters will join us. We got 100 people coming from the continent of Africa, but we are looking at Yvonne Staples. You know how much the Staples singers have meant to this movement, just the music. Oh, I got some of Dr. Rita Samuels. She's going to be here from the SCLC era. And Linda Brown. We're going to honor these women, the memory of these women, Dr. Rita Samuels, Linda Brown. You remember Brown versus Board of Education. Then Betty made me say this political forum. Why are we having a political forum? You need to know who's running, who's not running. We got senators from everywhere coming to teach us about midterm. Vincent Hughes from Pennsylvania, Senator Lena Taylor from Wisconsin, Maria Chappelle Nadal from Missouri, Senator Eddie Melton, Indiana, Akul Abdul Sahid from Iowa. They come from all over the country. How are you going to let some people come to your house and you not be here? You got to register. Sports, education banquet. We going to look at Jack Johnson. I can't tell you about that because Jonathan's going to talk about that. Isaiah Thomas will be here. Timeless gifts will be provided in music, so our children are singing. Spencer Haywood, Richard Lapchick. We got the oratorical winners. You'll get to see some of them. And we'll have special tributes to some of our game-changing, game-breaking athletes. Jack Johnson, Joe Lewis, Jesse Owens, Jackie Robinson, John Carlos, Muhammad Ali, Kurt Flood. All of these athletes, they're not coming themselves because they're not alive. We're going to show you people that have changed the playing field, that we might be on it, and then we're going to talk about the challenges we face going forward. We got something for millennials, because I know you're saying, I'm not old, I don't want to hear all that hits. Well, we got something for you all. We're going to have some workshops. Reverend Cassius Rudolph, he's got the millennial tech thing. He's got the millennial voting. We're going to fire these millennials up. They say they're not voting. Well, they're going to vote. They've already told me they're trying to register people, and you'll see some of them next Saturday. Saturday, we're going to close it out with Attorney Brian Samuels. He's going to talk about the lynching museum, but this whole idea of unconscious bias. He's going to talk about racism in America. You want to hear Brian Stevenson. If you haven't heard him, you need to come to the convention. Registration is only $50. It's $35 if you're a senior, $15 if you're a student. This is a convention where we're convening all of the stakeholders, all of the freedom fighters. And if you haven't been fighting, you're going to need to fight to keep what we have and to get what we need. Join us this year, June the 13th through the 16th. Go to rainbowpush.org. If you can't go to the computer, call us right now, 773-256-2775. It is my pleasure to introduce our oratorical student who is going to give a presentation, just so that you can see we invest every week, every day in our children, developing them, and we invite churches to join us with the oratorical competition at the convention, to send your children to us to participate in our robotics competition. All of this is during the convention. And we have an education summit. We're going to talk about the state of education. We have so much. I don't have no more time. I want you to meet young Gabrielle Gaitherite. She's a sophomore at Homewood Flossmoor. You've seen her brother, and now you get to see the sister. Gabrielle.
Good morning, Rainbow Push. My name is Gabriella Gatherite, and I will recite Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high. Still, I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. In his absence, in Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr. absence, I would like to thank him for this opportunity to be a part of Rainbow Push oratorical program. Thank you.
Give her a round of applause. It's Memorial Day, and we celebrate our young people every Saturday. Thank you, Gabriella. It is my pleasure to introduce and present our sister. She's a veteran in her own right. Our own Bonita Parker, our COO. Give her a round of applause as she leads us into our Veterans panel.
Thank you so much, Reverend Wilson. And I am certainly peacock proud and hyena happy to be back home and to share this panel with my fellow veterans. We have a very, very delightful panel to share with you on today. Joining us today, we have Colonel Eugene Scott, the U.S. Army retired. We have Commander James Reynolds, who I'm going to let him give you all the wars that he's fought in. And then we also have Bill Brown, who's the Director of Cook County Veterans Affairs, and he's a former Air Force man. So why don't we start the discussion with you, Colonel Scott. Tell us a little bit, give us your full rank, and if I left anything off, I see you're highly decorated. Tell us a little bit about your experience and give us your full name and rank.
Colonel Eugene F. Scott, retired United States Army, 28-year veteran, and 2 tours in Vietnam. Commanded tank forces primarily in Europe because that's where our tanks are. Had the opportunity to be the post commander at Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield for 3 years, and I retired out of Fort Monroe, Virginia, right across the street from Hampton University, where I was the post commander for the second time at Fort Monroe, Virginia. It was my pleasure to serve. It's particularly important to me about Memorial Day because this is a day that we honor those soldiers that gave their lives for this great country. And you know, I want to make sure that this country understands that we have given our blood for this country. And all I ask in return for our black soldiers and veterans is be fair to us.
That's right.
I'm not accustomed to asking for special favors. All I want you to do is be fair and give us what we rightfully earned.
All right. I will agree with that. Another highly decorated individual is Commander James Reynolds. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the titles you've held and some of the things that you've done?
Well, thank you for the promotion. I'm only a staff sergeant and a rank that I love. And I spent my early years at ROTC in Inglewood High School. And from there to the Marine Corps, the African American Marine Corps, and I went from there to our African American Army. So I was drafted in the Marine Corps in early '43 and drafted in the U.S. Army in 1950. So I guess I'm one of the only vets that was drafted twice. So I have 2 honorable discharges. I spent winter of 50 and 51 in Korea in combat with the Army, of which I knew nothing about. I've never been on an Army base, but I was thrown into a group of Army who didn't really like Marines. But from there on, it was like 69 years before we were recognized as Marines by the Marine Corps. finally, we got a general who attended one of our conventions who knew very little about the Mount Point Marines. And he told me personally that after that convention, he went back to the Pentagon and he had a meeting with his staff. And he said, we are going to recognize our black Marine brothers. And anyone that's not in sync with me, I will accept your resignation today. So, in turn, in 2011, he invited all 400 of us and our escorts to Washington, D.C. for a special honor, special guest of the Marine Corps with a beautiful parade, and he actually laid the carpet out for us. It took me a while to understand why this one general had the courage to stand up and recognize the black Marines. And I finally found out why it happened. In 2010, we have chapters all over the country. He attended one of our conventions. And who knew, here's a four-star general that knew very little about the black Marines. And so one of the reasons why he recognized us, he was the first commandant to feel the finger of prejudice. And this happened when he became commandant of the Marine Corps and went to the Pentagon, and they didn't really care too much about him. And the reason was he was the first commandant of the Marine Corps to come from the air wing. All former commandants came from the ground. So he felt prejudice, and he knew what it felt like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Staff Sergeant, I know you've seen a lot of stuff during your time.
Yeah, in turn, we were invited back to D.C. by the members of Congress to receive the Congressional Gold Medal. This happened in 2012.
Congratulations. Praise God for that. All right. I want to hear a little more from you, but I want to hear from Bill Brown, who is the Director of Cook County Veterans Affairs as well. So if you could tell us a little bit about, tell us your rank when you were in the service and a little bit about your story. We'd love to hear it.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Brown. I am the Director for Veterans Affairs for Cook County. I served in the military. I was in the Air Force. I served from 1967 through 1971. I served in Thailand and I served in Vietnam. I was at an air base called Udon, Royal Thai Air Force Base in Thailand. I was at Tan Son Nhut Air Base in Vietnam. My job in the Air Force was to be radio communications. I worked with the forward air controllers. So we had an opportunity to go up in the Laotian mountains up there when we were over there working with the forward air controllers calling in airstrikes. That was my opportunity to serve the military, and I was glad I was able to do that. One of the things that I'm proud of today is being able to reach out to our veteran population today. A lot of things have changed, but a lot of things have come a long ways. One of the things I have found out, being a military person out here as well, is a lot of our veterans, especially our black veterans, do not know where to go for resources. Very unfortunate. My job is to go out throughout all of Cook County talking to our veterans, letting them know that there are resources out here for you to take advantage of. If you've never taken advantage of any of your resources, I always encourage our veterans, sit down, let's find out what's available to you. One of the things that I'm very proud of is that when a veteran comes to talk to me, I will give them the name and phone number of a live person to talk to. Somebody that will actually sit down with them, talk with them, and let them know what's going on out there. It may not be the answer that they want to hear, but at least they have an opportunity to talk to someone, get an answer, and move in the right direction. There's a lot of benefits out here for our veterans that our veterans are not aware of. Depending upon when you served in the military, what war that you were in, there are benefits available to you out here. Take advantage of them. Find out what's available to you. When I say veterans, I talk about both my men and women veterans as well. One of the other hats that I might say that I wear is I'm the post commander for my VFW out in Richardson Park. And I have a couple of World War II veterans at my post. And I'd like to just share one of the things that he mentioned to me when I was talking to him is that when he was serving in the military and in the war, in the Army, he left out of Chicago. They put him on a train going down to Camp Stewart in Georgia. And believe it or not, once they crossed the Mason-Dixie line, they stopped the train, and all the black veterans had to sit up front. You know what happens when you sit up front on a train going down south? All the cinders and smoke goes right into your face. Those other veterans were able to sit in the back. And he had to endure that when he went down to Fort Georgia. So, like I say, things have changed since that time frame, but we have a long ways to go. But I always encourage our veterans out here, our Army veterans, military veterans, Air Force veterans, whatever branch of service that you're in, find out what you are available to. There are resources out here, there are service officers out here that will work with you to get you pointed in the right direction.
That's right, that's right. And as we wind down, thank you so much for reiterating that, Bill. As we prepare to wind down, in a couple of minutes or less, I want each of you to share with me. We know that as service members, we were not always treated fairly because of the tonation of our skin. We know that as African Americans in this yet to be United States of America, we still find instances where we're not treated right. So Colonel Scott, I'm gonna start with you again. If you can tell me about an instance, or if you can just maybe reflect on some of the things that you think we still need to keep that spotlight on, that we still need to focus on. I would call this, we continue to fight on two fronts. We fought in the military, and now we're still fighting in this yet to be United States of America. What do you think about that?
I think a lot about what you said. Certainly the battle still goes on. We weren't treated fairly 100 years ago, and we still aren't treated fairly today. There's no reason under the sun in this great, rich country of ours that we aren't providing proper health care and housing for veterans. We have too much money not to do that. So if we can spend money on defense, we can spend money on people.
That's right. That's right. All right. All right. I agree. People and resources. Bill, what do you think? What do you think remains our continued struggle that we have for veterans? What do we need to continue to fight for veterans?
I think we need to just make our veterans aware of what's out here. Many of our black veterans were reprehensive or did not want to come forward because the military wasn't looked on very kindly when we came back from overseas. And unfortunately, the other folks, they took advantage of what was available to them right away. As a black veteran out here, they were apprehensive. And many of our black veterans didn't even want to say that they served in the military. Very unfortunate. But I would encourage any of our veterans, I don't care how old you are or when you served in the military, come forward, sit down. There's people out here available to you. I would encourage any of our veterans out here who are out here today that never even looked at a claim or to try to find out what's available to them, just reach out to us and ask us, because we're here to help you out. It has come a long ways. I will have to admit, even though I served in the Vietnam War, I wasn't able to serve in World War II, so I wasn't around during that time frame. But when I talk to members of the military who served in World War II and even the Korean War, things have come a long ways, but they still have to move forward.
That's right, that's right. I agree. Thank you, Bill. All right, Staff Sergeant Reynolds, what do you think is one of the things that we need to remain focused on or fight for on behalf of veterans?
Well, I think we need to focus on change. I've seen a lot of change in 90 years, even in service. When I was in the Marine Corps, there's not too many things that was available to us other than being just an infantryman. There was no schools for us to go to. I have a nephew who went in the Marine Corps 2 years ago, and they told him the day he enlisted that he would be going to air traffic control school. And he's now a Marine Corps air traffic controller, which is something I never thought I would see. I thought I would never live to see a black Marine general or a lieutenant or a captain. And seeing this in D.C. brought me to tears. And I still have tears for the many original Mount appointers that never lived to see this. There were great people in the Marine Corps. Mayor of New York, David Dinkins, was a Mount Point Mariner. Yeah. I served in Korea with another person you might know, Charles Rangel, was in my outfit in the 2nd Division in Korea. So I've seen a lot of changes, and we have more to go.
That's right, that's right. Well, certainly as a woman who spent time in the United States Army Reserves, I'd like to see us continue to fight for women, equality for women as it relates to taking higher ranks, equality for women after they return, and making sure that they have the appropriate resources, particularly those women who are parents, making sure that they have the appropriate resources for that. So that's my fight. I want to thank you all, first and foremost, for your service. Secondly, for sharing with us on this morning. And thirdly, for just being a part and staying connected to the veteran community. Let's give it up one more time for our panels. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bonita Parker, our own special veteran. And now we have a young man who grew up in this organization, a young man who continues to try to stand in the huge shoes and walk in the footprints left by his father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. We have our national spokesperson who will put in context so much that we have read in the papers this week, so many issues that we're faced with. The young man that continues to cause us to fight. Right after this verse of I Am Somebody, we have none other than our national spokesperson, Jonathan Luther Jackson.
I've had enough heartache and enough headache. I've had so many ups and downs. I don't know how much more I can take. Yeah. See, I've decided that I cried my last tear yesterday. Either I'm gonna trust you, or I may as well walk away. Stressing don't make it better, no. Don't make it better, no way. See, I've decided that I cried my last tear yesterday.
Thank you, thank you. I'd like to thank all of those in attendance today in television and radio land. Something big happened in our country this week, as it does every week. First of all, I'd like to say a very special thank you. We are indebted to our veterans, our soldiers. 22 million persons are veterans in the United States. They fight for freedom abroad and have to suffer the indignity of coming back home for the freedoms they do not have. So let us have, in the words of the Tuskegee Airmen, victory abroad and victory at home. Your battle is courageous and righteous. We salute and we applaud you, and we thank you for your service. My father asked that I speak today on the posthumous pardon of Mr. Jack Johnson. Mr. Jack Arthur Johnson, born in Galveston, Texas. Mr. Johnson, the world heavyweight champion. First, he won the World Colored Championship because African Americans, by the time of the early part of the 1900s, had been discriminated and regulated and eliminated from professional baseball. The first winner of the Kentucky Derby was an African American jockey. African American jockeys became so popular and so successful. Rules after rules, regulation after regulation, starting with a jockeying club, and then fees to be in a jockeying club, and then to be sponsored to be a jockey inside of a club, were raised higher and higher so that ultimately no African Americans were able to be jockeys in the Kentucky Derby anymore. Major League Baseball wasn't major until African Americans could compete with whites and whites could compete with African Americans. Mr. Jack Johnson, born in the year of 1878, when Reconstruction had officially been called a failure because there was no support from the Congress and the Senate and white leadership to build the bridge for Reconstruction. This is a marvelous time and day that we're in, ladies and gentlemen. This is but the third person ever in American history to be granted posthumously a pardon, meaning that they were innocent. It was a full pardon granted by President Donald J. Trump, and for that I say thank you. You've done the right thing. There have only been three. One was Lieutenant Flipper. One was by President Clinton, was pardoned. He was enslaved in the 1870s, and he was wronged. Another was an Israeli soldier that was of American descent, and now Mr. Jack Johnson. In short, what do I want to say about Jack Johnson? Mr. W.E.B. Du Bois, the founder of the Niagara Movement, who started the crusade of anti-lynching, a founder of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, the first African American to receive a PhD from Harvard University. He described Mr. Jack Johnson as having unforgivable blackness. A man that was proud, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, a man that never forgot his race, his culture, a man who defied the current wisdom and the current culture. What do I mean by that? They said Mr. Johnson married a white woman. Isn't this America? Shouldn't you marry the woman you love? Well, I know some of you all are cringing and getting uncomfortable now. She loved him and he loved her. End of the story. And I hope you find somebody you can love. Moving right along. He had to go to 3 continents to chase down the reigning, at that time called heavyweight champion of the world, because he did not want to fight Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, in a bold, audacious style, he was mocking the man and said, you won't fight me. He went and bought a first-class ticket, bought a ringside seat, and told the opponent, you won't fight me because you're a coward. White folks said something is wrong with this sort of black man. Black folks thought something was crazy and off about this sort of boldness of man that had been born from the parents that had been in slavery. Come on, y'all. We know some African Americans today that don't want to say the name, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, amongst white folks. Some won't go to commemorate his life in Memphis. Some won't go lay a wreath at his crib in Atlanta because he had unforgivable blackness. I remember one article I had read about Mr. Johnson, and he told the reporter in closing, and make sure you put down in the article, I was a man. When I think of Jack Johnson, my chest swells up. A man that can look you in the eye. No scratching of your head. No weak knees. He brought it on to America. In order to fight the heavyweight champ at the time, he had to agree to receive less money. He had to agree to let his white opponent's manager also be the referee. It was bigger than him. He was going to take his stand up for freedom and our dignity into the ring. Man amongst men, the pugilist, the heavyweight fighter. Yes, there's one pope. There's one president of the United States, as Mr. Don King has said. And Mr. Don King says, and there's only one heavyweight champion of the world at a time. The man amongst men. When you fly from coast to coast and all over the world, one man can beat all men. The heavyweight champ. In the defined parameters. Bring it on. He mocked him, he came. And they said he held him up and he talked and he laughed, he mocked him. And the tension got so tight in Reno, Nevada, that after he went to knock him out, that the government stopped the film, made it illegal to distribute the film. It was the biggest set of race riots our nation had ever seen. 150 mobs of whites around the north, the south, the west came to kill blacks, and blacks fought back. He gave African American men a sense of somebodyness. Why do we have so much hypertension? Why do we have so much stress? We know better. But when you don't apply and fight and punch back, you take it to your home. You internalize it. Not Jack Johnson. He didn't look the other way. And when he went to fight Mr. Jim Jeffries, follow me, slavery, the war was 1861 to 1865. Every advancement we tried to make to have Reconstruction was sabotaged. By 1878, they said the era of Reconstruction is officially over. In 1865, when America said we are no longer a slave nation, the French government gave to the United States a Statue of Liberty, originally designed in the image of an African American woman. They said when you take someone that was put at the bottom of the society and now you have freedom, that country has now been exalted. That's the original image of the Statue of Liberty. And as the period of time went on and on, they began to change the features of the African woman. But if you look at the statue carefully, you'll see a bracelet that's a chain on her arm and one that's broken on the foot of our Statue of Liberty today. This is the era that Jack Johnson lived in. At the height of the lynching era, Oh, he said, I am a man. He was a man amongst men. He could date the woman of his choice. He could love whom he wanted to. When cars and automobiles were a new technology, he drove the finest car. When he was en route to go see the Max Schmeling Joe Louis fight, they said he was driving through Georgia speeding, and an officer pulled him over and gave him an outrageous sum for a ticket, $50. Well, I got a $65 parking ticket the other day, and I'm cringing. In Chicago, ladies and gentlemen, he was speeding through Georgia to go see the Max Schmeling Joe Louis fight, and the officer gave him a $50 ticket. And the rumor says that he gave the officer $100 and says, keep the other 50 because I'm going to be speeding coming back through here. Muhammad Ali says he's the greatest, but he says he was inspired by Jack Johnson. How could a 25-year-old young man from Kentucky, smart and articulate and handsome, like Muhammad Ali, talk back and says, my name is not Cassius Clay, my name is Muhammad Ali. You're gonna call me what I tell you to call me. And I'm gonna believe what I wanna believe. And you're not gonna make me go fight a war I don't believe in. At 25 years of age, they took Muhammad Ali's his trophy. They took his cars. They took his livelihood. But they could not take his dignity. A man amongst men, Mr. Jack Johnson. What does it mean to be posthumously pardoned by the president? Every family wants their family name and their honor restored. It's not too late, even from the grave, even if the wrong was made 107 years ago. You're gonna fight for your family name. He is in turn buried here in Chicago on North Clark Street and Irving Park Road at Graceland Cemetery. Who's in Graceland Cemetery? Not that it really matters, but the founding fathers of our city are there. Pullman of Pullman Railroad cars, where they had every black man called George that worked on the trains. Sullivan, the great architect, is there. Adler of the Adler Planetarium. But I want you to know Jack Johnson bought 28 plots for his family to be buried there because he was going to stay in their face in life and after death too. Where am I going with this? I am a man. This is our kickoff for Father's Day. Every day I look up and see another black man being accused of something in the paper. And I've tried to hold my tongue on this. As much as I'm against victimization and degradation and assault against women, all this stuff is coming out and attacking black men. We're no saints, we're not perfect, but come on, Jack Johnson, follow me in our clothes. Jack Johnson so infuriated the white society because of his power, his strength, the image that he would represent of men that don't bow down, men that don't beat their wives, men that can talk back to white folks and look them in the eyes, a man that can tell Rahm Emanuel, you're wrong for closing schools. A man that can look at a Donald J. Trump and say, you are hedonistic. Our society gets mad at a man like that. All my life, people have asked me, what does it feel like to grow up in the shadow of the Reverend Jesse Jackson? And I had to think and think and think hard. Then I had to let them know, I've never been in the shadow of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I've been the son of a man's man. He's fought every day of his life. So what do I want you to do? I want you to man up, men, in the spirit of Jack Johnson. They passed a federal law, the Mann Act, to say you can't do interstate trafficking of women for immoral purposes because he was dating a white woman that became his white wife. Follow me. If they want to enforce the law, have you heard of Charlie Rose? Have you heard of Harvey Weinstein? Have you heard of all these entertainers in Hollywood? Come on, y'all. A man's man did 10 months in jail in Leavenworth, came out with his head held high. A man's man. Martin Luther King jailed over 29 times, indicted on taxes, and still would speak truth to power. A man's man. We've got to man up when they close our schools, when they deny us work. We've got to man up when we can't get a loan, when we can't support our families. We've got to man up. Thank God in heaven for the spirit of Mr. Jack Arthur Johnson. God bless you.
Oh, I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. I may be down but not destroyed. I may be empty but not void, 'cause I am somebody. Just pray for me. Oh, pray. Pray for me. Pray for me. For the world, sing, just pray with me. Oh, just pray with me. Oh, just pray. Pray with me. Pray with me.
Well, it's offering time. This is an opportunity for those of you who are here, those of you who are still watching us as we live stream. You can become a member of Rainbow Push. It's $35 a year. If you're a senior or a student, it is only $15. We're trying to get 1,000 people to register to be delegates to this year's convention. It's $50 to register. Those of you who are here and want to register, those of you who are watching and want to register, you can go online to rainbowpush.org. If you have a credit card, we have credit card machines available to you. You can write your checks, make your checks payable to Rainbow Push. Rainbow Push. If you want to register for the convention, raise your hand. We have registration forms for you. If you just want to make a contribution starting at $100, raise your hand. $100. Those of you who want to make a gift of $100, we'll register you for the convention and you'll be a member and everything. There's a hand in the back. Those of you who want to make a $50 gift, I'm going to come down your street. Miss Gurnell taught me how to ask. $50. That will mean you are registering for the convention and a membership for 1 year will be included in that registration. $50. Raise your hand, or you can come and see Mr. Adams, swipe your credit card, today, or your debit card. Thank you for Mr. Payne, $100. He's a Marine, former Marine. I need all of the soldiers to be prepared to give general orders. Whatever your general is, captain, commander, it's $50 registration. Those of you who will register and become a member, $35 membership in the organization. If you want to pay on your registration, you can do that. You need to fill out a registration form, fill out a membership form. $35, $15 if you are a senior. How many seniors in the audience are not members? It's $15 to be a member of Rainbow Push. You get your card in the mail next week. Don't be shy, give them. Maddox, thank you so much, $700. Is that for convention? Convention. And we need you to fill out the form so we know what you are signing up for. $700. Oh, here it is. Okay, thank you so much. Anyone want to join Maddox? What he's done is a full convention package. Full convention package. Those of you who will give something, won't you stand and go to the aisle closest to where you're seated, to your right, or your right over there, or your left. Stand, please, if you're going to give something. Everybody has something. Not equal gifts, but equal sacrifice. Choir will sing. Mahan will sing while you give. Come to the aisle closest to where you're seated and bring your offering. We can let the veteran sing. He got another song in it. If you want.
Let me see if we got ready there. Oh, listen. When the night has come.
Thank you, Ms. Stone. Ella Stone, thank you for $50.
It's the only light you'll see. Oh, no, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't.
If you need an application for registration or for membership, raise your hand and they'll bring it to you. If you want to take one home with you.
So, darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, just stand, somebody.
I need y'all to stand and give some money.
Oh, stand and give. Right now, you can give. Oh, so just stand with me. Oh, stand with me. Somebody now. Stand, stand with me. Second verse says, if the sky that we look upon somehow should stumble and fall, and the mountain should crumble by the sea, oh Lord, I won't cry. I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, no, no. Just as long as you stand by me.
Has everyone had an opportunity to give?
Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me.
There's another offering. Stand if you have an offering.
Oh, stand. Oh, stand. Yeah.
stand? Stand with Mayhi.
Stand with me like she just said.
Stand.
Stand. Stand, 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 stand.
Stand.
With me. Wish I could get some help. Oh, stand, Sparks. Come on up and sing it.
Sparks, come on and stand. Stand by him.
Come on and stand. Whoa, stand. Stand.
Stand by me. Stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand, stand by me, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand, stand by me, stand by me.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his grace to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord bless you and your family with a safe and successful and prosperous holiday weekend. We have a convention meeting in the community hall at 11:30 immediately following the broadcast. We need all of you to go to the community hall so that you can join a committee and indicate to us when you plan to be one of our 1,000 registered delegates for the convention. Going strong. Go in peace and stand. What you saying? There's a storm out on the ocean or something. Let's go.
Like a ship that's tossed and driven, battled by an angry sea. When the storm of life are raging and the fury fall on me, I look up and I wonder why great fortune seemed pass me by. And he said to my soul, take courage, the Lord will make a way somehow. When I try to do my best in service, Lord, I try to live the best I can. When it seems I'm doing the right thing, you know evil shows on every hand. All night I tossed in pain. Lord, I'm wondering what the next day will bring. Then he said to my soul, take courage, the Lord will make a way somehow. I said the Lord will make a way somehow. When beneath the cross I'll bow, he will take away your sorrow. If you let him have your burden down. Oh, when the load bow down so heavy, the trace will show upon your brow. Oh, there's a sweet relief in knowing the Lord will make a way somehow. He'll make a way, he'll make a way. Yes, he will. He'll make a way. Yes, he will.